our Bethel High School freshman Team Explorer presenting us with their Blue Zone PBL. So today we have Sage Holden, Lance Stewart, Karina Stevens, Elias McIntosh, and Madison Young. So I know before today's session, you all gave me a brief on what a Blue Zone is, but can you guys go more in depth on what is a Blue Zone?
A blue zone is an area in the world where people live their healthiest, greatest lives. People in these areas live by the Power 9, which can include a plant slant, moving naturally, and finding the right tribe. 80% of adults in Hampton do not know what a blue zone is. Do you?
So, how do you all hear about the Blue Zone, and what does it mean to you?
We first heard about the Blue Zone in Miss Kelly's class. We were working on research for this project, but then we decided that we wanted to take it a step further and bring it to our communities. We decided to step away from just research and actually go out into the community and make connections to make it happen.
So, while doing this research, did you guys like the research or being outside and getting to experience it better?
I personally like the going outside and meeting new people, going out to the community and seeing how they felt about the Blue Zones and how we could bring it here.
So what stuck out to you while doing this?
So something that we learned about is a little more about nutrition and what people eat and drink in Blue Zones. Now, Hampton, we only learn about nutrition maybe one day a week at school and then never again. And we expect that if something's wrong, we can go to a doctor and they'll know what's wrong and how to fix it. When in reality, all that they know is what symptoms and to prescribe medication to mask those problems instead of actually fixing them and finding the root cause of what caused it to happen.
So what does Hampton have that contribute to the Blue Zone philosophy?
Hampton has many things that contribute to the Blue Zone philosophy, such as the many parks and trails. We have over 15 parks and trails, many community centers, and our beaches such as Fort Monroe and Buckrow. We even have one of our community centers on the beach, which is Fort Monroe. We have many things that contribute to this philosophy to make our city great, but a lot of people do not know about these things.
I can definitely agree that a lot of people do not put use to the recreational centers because I'm 100% we don't. But we all know that Hampton has a slogan, choose Hampton. But if Hampton isn't a Blue Zone, why should we choose Hampton?
Well, we chose Hampton because we believe that bringing a community gardens and farmers markets here can make the community better and make the community come together as one and help people learn more about the Blue Zone itself.
Bringing the Blue Zone to Hampton will help people choose Hampton because it will teach them about the things previously stated, such as the trails, parks, community gardens, and community centers, and enhance the beauty of our city.
Like Sage said, it's really just going to enhance what we already have and bring in some new things that we might not have already had enough of.
I definitely agree that Hampton does have the potential to be great. It just needs the right group of people willing to take time and work with it, and it will definitely flourish. Why isn't Hampton classified as a Blue Zone?
Hampton isn't classified as a Blue Zone because of the rates of, multiple diseases, as you can see, which differ from the Blue Zone's average, as the smoking rates, the obesity rates, and the diabetes rates, as well as the life expectancy. That is near a 10-year difference between ours and the Blue Zones. Personally, I like to live to 100 and not 75.
And people in the Blue Zones, while it says 83.4, many people in the Blue Zones live up to or over 100. And we feel that in Hampton, Virginia, 76 is not going to cut it. We want our 30 years.
So, what things or what connections have you all made in the community to help you with this project?
We've made many connections in our community, including taking the Hampton 101 bus tour around our beautiful city and seeing the parks, trails, and community centers. We also met with Miss Dawn, who's here to support us today, and we talked about the Blue Zones, we tried vegan foods, and she even made a tea inspired by our project called The Blues, which we have for you to try today.
So, do you all think with your great ideas and Ms. Dawn's great ideas, you will have a chance to collaborate?
Yes, Miss Dawn is working on bringing a farmer's market to Phoebus, and when that happens, she's going to be making food, and she invited us to come work with her at her booth to teach people about the Blue Zone while she's preparing food.
So, when you all took a trip to Native Soul, do you think you learned more information, or you went in already knowing the information that Dawn shared with you all?
We learned a lot of new information, and we got to meet a beautiful person and learn a lot about her story and why she does the things she does. She's a great person, and we made a great connection.
So, as we all know, you can't fix a community if you don't bring it together. So, what are some of the ways that you can bring a community together?
So one, by making community gardens and sensory gardens here at Bethel, which our sensory gardens, we plan to work with Ms. DeBusk and Ms. Gardner, who are our self-contained teachers here at Bethel. So that way this really does include all students here at Bethel and later on the entire Hampton community.
So, what are other ways, like volunteer options and different things, where you can bring communities together?
So we have over 470 different community volunteer options. One of them includes Willow Woods Equine Sanctuary, which is owned by Michelle, who is here with us today in the audience, where I get to actually watch people experience the Power Nine, such as move naturally, finding the right tribe, and finding a purpose, all while helping saving the animals here that we have in our community.
So, did you all keep this project just between you and the admin here at Bethel, or did you explore and get other people's opinions?
We've spoken with a lot of different people in our area, such as using the HCS PE teachers here at Bethel and also at Phoebus High School, along with speaking with parents to hear more about what they think of the Blue Zone project. Like we stated, many of them did not know about it, wanted to learn more, and wanted to learn how to garden.
So, what are you all's next steps to make sure this project is successful in the long run?
So our first next step for the spring would be to start a community garden. We have people that we met at Bluebird Gap Farm who committed to making a community garden there, but we also want to start one here at Bethel. After that, we want to work on making more farmers markets in the Hampton area, especially putting a farmers market in the Bethel gym for everyone to experience, since most of our farmers markets are concentrated near Buckrow Beach and Fort Monroe. After that, we want to start working on the sensory garden with Ms. DeBusk and Ms. Gardner, and then we have a few more plans after that, as you can see on our timeline. This is an ongoing project, and it's going to take multiple years, but the results will be long-lasting and make a great improvement on our community.
So as we said, this is definitely not a one-year project. This is a forever project that we'll be working on long after we leave Bethel High School.
So, there's word out that you guys have made a connection at Bluebird Gap Farm. Can you please elaborate more on that?
We've spoken with Mr. Newland at Bluebird Gap Farm to work to bring a community garden to this side of Hampton in the Big Bethel area. This will help not only students and families that go to Bethel, but others in the area, such as shuttle bus students who travel to the other schools.
So, I feel like that is a great partnership. So, what else do you guys, or what other things do you have to tell everyone here today about the Blue Zones?
Well, personally, I feel like we each have a connection that makes us want to bring this to this area, and a reason why we feel this is important. And I know Madison has something to say about this.
So for those of you who don't know, recently my grandmother went into surgery to get a pacemaker, meaning it is making her heart beat by an electrical wave. This is something that, she's only 78 years old, so at 78 and already having these problems, knowing the things that we know now would have been so helpful, making us live until we're 90 and then having these problems.
And for me, I'd like, the personal connection it's made with me is
We all have our own personal connections to this project and why we want to bring the Blue Zone to Hampton. Many of us believe that we will influence our families. For me, it is my father with heart disease who has a defibrillator in his chest, and my mother who had breast cancer and beat it recently. I want to bring this project to Hampton to help my brother because he is my best friend and I want to see him live a long, beautiful life.
All right, that's time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So if anyone has any questions about the Blue Zone, please feel free to ask us, and we will answer any questions you have.
So, could you just real quick wrap up, like, and tell me exactly, like, what stage you are in this timeline here? Like, what have you done so far?
We have already made many connections to help us with making our community garden at Bluebird Gap Farm with Adam Newman. And then we are working with admin to get a community garden here at Bethel.
Okay, great, thank you.
Yeah, most community gardens are started in the spring so the plants are able to grow right. So that's why we haven't started anything on that. But as soon as it turns spring, we're going to start working on it. And in this time, we've made preparations and met with other people to get started on other projects as soon as we can.
And we're currently handing out a gardening kit so you too can begin your Blue Zone journey and living your healthiest life. Thank you so much for joining us today.
And also, I do want to say I'll use this because I actually have a plot at the Buckrow Community Garden. So have you thought about like how you're going to structure the raised beds, etc., or how those are going to get built?
Yes, we've been starting our research on the gardens and we want to first help renovate them so that we can then build our beautiful plants and beautiful plots and raise them up.
My question is, we saw the reasons why we're not in the Blue Zone. And one of those were like fast food restaurants and things like that, the health issues that we have in the high percentages. So I wanted to know, when you're seeing these new restaurants that are coming up, you and the Blue Zone initiative that you want to bring here to make us a Blue Zone, what would be your input on that?
So we do not recommend many of the fast food restaurants around. Like we stated, we recommend places like Native Soul Bar and Market, who have vegan options, mini smoothies, the tea that you tried today. We also know of the Grey Goose, Palm Tree. There are many alternative options to eating healthy, and eating healthy does not always have to taste bad.
So my part two of that question, since you're aware that some of the restaurants we have are not the best, and you're seeing some of the restaurants, like you said, that have been here, some newer restaurants that fit that, is there any part of your plan where you plan to be more maybe vocal to the people that make sure these restaurants come here and having their input as a group in driving what type of things this area needs versus some of the things you identified are not so great?
So if we could go back a slide, we have our Facebook page, our Instagram page, and a YouTube page, where we invite all of you guys to follow and share alongside our journey, where we want to help spread the word about these things, help people keep updated on our pathway to what we're trying to bring here to Hampton. So that's where we will inform people on some of the health benefits of what we're doing and what we're not doing.
On these social media accounts, we have already, posted and reposted a lot about places such as Native Soul and Bar, and told people that, where it is and how they can get there and what they can order, and that what they're going to eat is delicious.
Now, I really appreciate the small business connection you guys have really looked into this. I'm sure he does as well.
Anything else?
I guess from my standpoint, I'm trying to understand, so how do we kind of, from your project's perspective, from the economic development side, how do we impact or help your organization kind of bring this forward?
I would say that we need to make connections with the community, because this project is to have an impact on the community, not just to keep it with us up here on stage and you want us to share it. So make connections with people, because as we all know, you can't fix a community if you don't bring it together. So bringing them together and spreading the word so everybody is aware of the change that we're trying to make.
All right, thank you.
Fantastic.